I spent the last 5 years building this flight sim, and today I want to show you what was actually worth spending money on and what wasn't. The first thing that we come to is the webcam. This one we had laying around. It's the one we use for the game recordings at the desk. Yeah, it seems to be working great. The other thing you saw up there was the GoPro mount. I couldn't find one that I liked that would fit my camera, so we went ahead, modeled one. I should have recorded that video, and it works great. Does what it needs to. It seems to be strong enough, and we did the whole thing, including printing it in like 10 minutes. If you're new here, I'm Flight Sim Jammer. On this channel, we build DIY sim parts and check out real aviation hotspots, all from a builder's perspective. Next, we have the gauge panel. On the gauge panel, we have these encoder knobs. They're not quite hooked up yet, but they are all wired behind there. They're waiting on the Arduino Micro Pro to make them run. This panel, as you can see, it is 2 panels. It's 2 1/8" MDF panels that are laser cut out. I do need to sand them a little bit more, but the reason there's 2 is the backside is routed out. There's a channel from each one of the encoders down to the left corner. You can kind of see on the far left there's a box. That box behind the dash is open. It's where the wires come out. That's where the Pro Micro is going to go. They were hooked to an Arduino Mega. The reason I want to go with the Pro Micro, you can remove the whole panel. Little bitty Pro Micro will come with it. Put on a different panel for like G1000s or doing driving and having a dash, gauge cluster for a car. If you kind of look around, I kind of go through these, but the holes are the 3 1/8 or 3 1/4, like a regular gauge. The only ones that are obviously not to scale is down in the bottom right. You see the oil temp and pressure and fuel gauges. Other than that, that was a pretty easy build. The 4 screws you see is what's holding it on. The monitor back there is a 22-inch monitor that we took the bezel off of. It's just sitting back there. The panel holds it in. I'll probably, when I remove the bezel, put a little duct tape on it. Just make sure that it stays when I'm swapping panels. Next up, we have the honeycomb yoke. I like the honeycomb yoke over the Cytec yoke for quite a big reason. You can see it right there. The honeycomb goes 90 degrees from straight up and down. One of the other things we did to this yoke, if you notice there's a coupler on it. The yoke obviously was on that first shaft that's closest to the unit. If you search our YouTube, you'll see that we have a video out that we have the build of making that longer. We extended the shaft. I show how to take it all apart, put the coupler in, and what to do and what not to do. One thing that I would make sure to do again is make sure I drill the hole out a little bit, because my shaft is stuck in there. To get it out, I'll have to drill it out. This next part right here, this is a just standard Ethernet cable. The one that normally comes with the honeycomb unit is about 6 to 7 inches long. It's curled up like a old 70s telephone that hung on the wall. That way it could extend out a little bit. The problem was it put too much pressure on the main unit, would break the inside. That is one of the other mods that you should do the minute you get it. It's just, you don't have to have the long cord like that. It's just what I had laying around. But get yourself a longer Ethernet cable, plug it in, and just give yourself a good little service loop. If you notice, mine's really long. It goes all around the bracket down there, but that will keep that from happening. That unit is now 3 years old or 4 years old. Never had another issue with it. This next unit, this is the famous TP setup. As you can see, this is the one we built. There's a couple videos that we've done on this. The most recent is on the red mixture handle, rebuilding the whole sheath that the bearing rides in. It was super complicated. In the end, just ended up being some normal threads that shouldn't have been complicated to do. The panel is ran off Arduino Leonardo, and that is hooked by USB to the computer. The computer sees it as a game controller. Think like your Yoke or your Xbox controller. Same deal. So you plug it in, it knows what it does, it knows what it can do. You can very easily map that in the flight simulators. And I will show it working here in 1 second. So this is how the mixture works. You push the button in, the button releases the spring tension on the bearing, and you can pull it out or push it in. What I'm doing there is able to screw it in because when the button's not pushed, the spring holds the bearing into the threads. That's showing the finger lock on the throttle. I'm pulling pretty good there. Of course, you could pull it out. It's plastic and a drinking straw, but it gives you the real feel. Now, the prop control, the hole in it didn't line up, so it does not have the bearing in it, but still works as it should. This next part of the sim right here, this is the Stream Deck, and there's all different sorts and types of them. You can get the boxes that are pre-made with the buttons. They are cool. They're really expensive. The tablet here was $20, maybe $30 on the 2-day shipping store. The Stream Deck Mobile was $50 for life on this tablet. There is also a free version. The free version has 6 buttons. As you can see, I have more than 6 on there. I'm not even set up fully yet. You can make this thing do a whole bunch of stuff, play sounds. I use it for changing the scenes and going live and stopping. This is definitely a great addition. I didn't think I would use it as much as I do. I knew that it would be useful, but it's one of those things, when you're all set up, it is worth having. This is something I didn't think I needed until I went back to an office chair. This is a STL file off of Thingiverse or Bamboo Handy, and as you see here in a second, you put your office chair wheel into it, and it keeps it from moving when you are pushing on the pedals. I added a little bit of the rough side of Velcro to it. As you can see here in a second, it actually takes quite a bit of force to get it off. And there's the Velcro. This is something I didn't know I needed, but I think you do need it for sure. The next item on my list are Hollyland Mark V, I believe. Wireless microphones. That is what I'm recording on right now. They are absolutely amazing. They sound wonderful, last for hours. It comes with 2 of them. You have the dead cat muff to take out some of the pops and bangs. They hook up by 3.5 there, as you see. These are not something that you have to have. They are just really nice because I do a lot of stuff, not just in the sim, but sometimes at my shop, sometimes at the airport. I needed a portable mic that I could have on me. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of brands out there, and some of them are definitely going to be better than these, but I got these off of eBay for $50, and they are worth absolutely every penny that I spent on them. Thanks for sticking around, guys. We only got a few items to go. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. This next part in our flight sim journey is the rudder pedals. It is one of those things that everybody has an opinion on. I will give you my opinion. I have used these Cytec or Logitech Pro rudder pedals for the last 5 years, and they have been absolutely great. I've had no issues with them. They don't feel like the real thing, but they do feel better than some of the cheaper models out there. There's nothing wrong with a cheap model. If that's all you can afford, get it. However, even I shouldn't say cheap, I should say inexpensive. Even the more inexpensive models are almost the same price as these ones. So, in my opinion, if you were looking at the bottom tier, I would go with the Logitech Pro Flight. I have recently, you saw it in one of our other videos, used the Logitech TRP pedals, and those feel really close to the real thing because when you push them, they have a real throw to them, just like you would in a real plane. If I was upgrading my pedals, it would be worth going to. However, I do not personally see a reason to upgrade them except to have more realism. And I guess the way to say it is if I came across a really good deal on a set, then yes, I would buy them. Otherwise, the Logitech Pro Flight worked just fine. Our next item is the headset. And this is an actual aviation headset. It's Rugged Air. You get these on Amazon for $100. I used this for a couple years in training until I got a nicer set. So this one is now used in my sim. And this device gives it Bluetooth capabilities. This is a Sochi Bluetooth adapter. That's about $10. And the cool thing about this device is this allows you to use your iPad in ForeFlight, and it will go into the headset just like it would in a real airplane. Also, if you wanted to play music that's on your phone and send it via Bluetooth, or you wanted to talk anything that has to do with Bluetooth, you could do with this device. What you're looking at right here is the FSX Solo. They also have a dual, DUAL option. And this allows aviation headsets to be used in your flight sim, and it makes it very realistic. The dual option, if your flight sim has 2 seats in it, will actually allow 2 people to talk to each other through their headsets. Okay, so this is something that most people don't talk about for a simulator. And let's just be honest, when you have your computer anywhere near your box that you're sitting in, it gets really extremely hot. Okay, it doesn't get extremely hot, but it can get uncomfortable if you're in it for a long time. So this is actually an auxiliary fan. It is a 4-inch fan that has I made an adapter that goes to the 2-inch pipe there. And here in a second, you will see that I also have a controller inside the sim. And this controller goes from obviously up to high, which is enough airflow to actually move the air around in the sim. However, I don't use it when I'm recording because it will come through on the audio. Here's a test of the sound. I will put the microphone up with the noise canceling off, and it'll go from off to full blast. It's not too bad. And if you actually only turn it on about a quarter of the way, you still get some airflow in the sim, but it doesn't pick up on the microphone. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is some parts for the sim. If you look at this trim wheel, it's something that we have to make because my first sim did not have one, and the plane had its original. You can see that the trim wheel is not perfect. Look at all the edges. And you know what? That's okay. It is a home sim. Don't be afraid to make mistakes with filament. On this part, it looks just fine, and it would be, except it's a little thin and the holes needed to be up another 10 millimeters. Was it worth redoing? It was. Or to not have perfect stuff. The whole point is getting better and better as we do this. You know, the only way that you can do that, or the mindset you should have, is don't worry about being absolutely 100% perfect as soon as you fire up your sim. A lot of the fun is troubleshooting and making it work. If you just wanted it to be perfect, you could buy something off of the shelf. Okay, these next panels, this one is original to the original sim. It's actually a black laser cut panel that has been painted and then the paper taken off. I will probably put that one back in, and it's actually takes the place of this panel. I'll turn this around. You can see how much wiring is on there. And that right there is the reason that I want to go to the Pro Micros, because all of that wiring would go to one Pro Micro, and then you would have one USB cable. This panel is one I want to get in pretty soon because of the flaps lever. Out of all of my things that I've made, the flaps lever is probably the one that I miss having, because it tells me where my flaps are without having to scroll the screen down, because you can see where the lever's at. You can see this one also has the servo motor there, and that will run a needle that shows what flaps degrees you're at. I don't have that one hooked up, but from where I was sitting in the actual plane, you couldn't see that anyway. The ELT would just be fun to have. It was a cool build. That one is on YouTube. You can see that one being built. It's not necessary for your sim, but it makes it a little more realistic. Okay, so what you see here is Arduino Megas and the connectors. Those connectors go to the first radio panels that we made. That white piece there, and there's a black one, those are power hubs, because you need so much power running to things. The Pro Micros will take the place of those, and they're a quarter of the size. Now, there will be some spots where I will use these because I have them, but anywhere I can, I will use the Pro Micros for the size. Now, you saw me pull that back cover off. That was just showing that I 3D printed that cover. That way it didn't touch anything in the metal sim. However, my old new sim is wood and it does not need that, although it is helpful to be able to screw things down. I will show you another reason to go from Arduino Megas. I think they're Mega 2560s, 2580s. Anyhow, why you would go from that to the Nanos or the Pro Micros. And the main reason is how much wiring it takes. If you look at this spool, or not spool, if you look at this connector, it has 18 pins or something like that. And all of that had to be connected to the back of the radio. And see there. And if you look at the other radio, then you see that it's just one USB cable coming out of it. And that is all you need. Everything else is done inside the box and super easy to plug it in and work. The next item on our list is a 10-key wireless mini keyboard. And you look at this and you go, why would I need this? Well, the biggest reason you need this is in some of the sims, I think actually both of them, you can set specific views when you click a number key. Well, when you are flying, you don't want to break the realism of reaching over and grabbing your keyboard and fumbling for the numbers. This keyboard, I have a little bit of Velcro on the back, and I stick it to the dash right between the radios. That way, even though that part's not realistic, I can reach up, click a button, and it goes to that view. These are only like 10 bucks, might be 20, but it is definitely something that you should consider having for your sim. Okay, this guy right here, this is a panel mounted 3.5 millimeter auxiliary jack. And you, depending on if you're going to do some recording like I do, your headset or microphones work off 3.5 millimeter, and you don't want to have to reach underneath the sim every time you need to get to the tower to plug it in. This guy was 15 bucks and worth every penny to be able to just reach and plug it in right at the top of the desk. If you want realism in your sim, you want the butt kicker. This butt kicker was mounted inside the metal sim and rattled the whole thing. You couldn't even turn it up very loud. As you can see, it is not mounted very well onto my office chair. I do not know if this chair is going to be my long-term chair. However, I wanted the realism when I'm flying and driving. And so it is just zip tied to it, and it works. It works great for flying, and I recently tried it driving in Dirt Rally 2.0, and man, did it make a difference. You could actually, when the car started skidding, you could feel the vibrations, the bumps, the turns, just like in the plane, taking off, landing, any turbulence you would feel. It's definitely a great thing to have for your sim to give you that realistic feel. Guys, thanks for coming along on this journey of the last 5 years of my flight sim and what I think I did right and what I did wrong. If you like this video, please consider sharing it with others. Hit the subscribe button. And if you are watching this on one of our social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, please jump on over to YouTube and subscribe over there. Thanks for all your help. You guys have a wonderful day, and remember, land safely.